Alrighty, out of YouTube. So, I think I've decided I want to go ahead and try the power tour. And so I've got quite a few projects. I think I want to take this old Dodge w300, which is going to take quite a bit of work. But I think we can get it done. A lot of body work. Cab's basically shot, but I'm gonna try to cut out all the rust and patch everything back up. The front of the cab's settled a little bit because the body mounts are clean gone in the front, and they're starting to go in the back, but the main support in the back, where they actually mount to the mounts on the frame, is still good. It's just in the back, it's just the lower corners that are bad, as you can see here. This is horrible right here, but the upper part of it is still in pretty decent shape. Once I get all this cut out, I'm gonna see if I can get these mount bolts out and lift this cab up just a little bit and paint all of this. And as of right now, I'm going to leave the flatbed on it, but the flatbed will be coming off because I would like to put a factory bed back on it. I'm not a big flatbed fan. And then we're going to end up putting this flatbed over on my dad's 2003 Silverado. But right now I got to go charge up batteries so I can get this thing rolling over. We just drug it out of its hole a couple days ago so I could get started on it. I want to get the frame all painted with rust converter, and once the rust converter's on there and another frame will be sealed, then I want to go and actually paint the whole frame, so you know it comes out semi-smooth, looks pretty nice, and does a pretty good job. And then I want to go ahead and pop the rear drive shaft out and the front drive shaft and replace the front pinion seals. Go ahead and pull the back cover off of the rear end and the front and change the fluids and the differentials. I gotta get the wheels off, get the brakes or drums off, because I don't know if it's all four of them that are hanging up or if it's just the fronts that are hanging up. We gotta put a new master cylinder on it, and once we because there's no seal left in here, so at some time somebody looks like an inner tube and made a half-ass seal for it. It's got a new ignition control module on it. I don't know what condition that ballast resistor's in. I pulled the carb off yesterday, pulled it apart, got everything cleaned. I just used the old gaskets for now, just so I can see if it runs. If it does run, then we'll pull this carb back off, and I'll order a rebuild kit for it and actually rebuild it right. I'm gonna go ahead and check the voltage regulator once we get it started, to see if the alternator's charging or not. In a way, easy way to test the voltage regulator is you can pull it off and you can touch these two terminals and with a volt ohms meter and look it up online, or if you have like a Haynes manual or something, you can look to see what the specs are, but that's how it's done. Or once you get your Dodge or Chrysler product running, and if it's not charging, this green wire right here runs back into this plug-in, and it's this terminal right there, the one on the very edge. You can put a wire in there and ground it out. That will excite your alternator to its full extent. It will pump out as much power as it possibly can to the battery. Now, you don't want to do this for very long because you could fry your battery or explode it under the hood, and that's never good. But it'll tell you whether or not your voltage regulator is working or not. And like I said, I'm not sure. When I first got it, I put this electric fan in it just as an upgrade for the cooling system. I can't stand when stuff overheats. I'm gonna get a new thermostat housing because that one looks like it's pretty rusted up. And then I've already ran new fuel lines. Once I get the batteries charged, I got this line hooked up going to technically a diesel can, but it's full. It's not full. It's got gas in it, so that way, because I pulled the tank out already, and the gas in it smelled like turpentine. It smelled horrible. It smelled better than a doornail. And then, but we're gonna pull from this gas can here, this diesel can, down into the original pump to start with to see if the pump works. Give it a good prime, and if the pump works, then we'll hook this line here back up, which it's already been replaced. It looks like a new fuel line here running up to a rubber hose to the original fuel line. This thing could probably use an oil change. Transmission fluid really don't look all that healthy, does it? And so I'll probably go ahead and drain the fluid out of the transmission here before next year, if Hot Rod Power Tour is doing it next year. I hope they are. And this gives me plenty of time. I've also already replaced the brake lines because they were completely gone. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and get a new master cylinder, just because this one's here is old as dirt and I don't know how well it works. What the hell is that? Huh. This is a weird. This thing's got 2 ballast resistors. I wonder why it's got 2 ballast resistors. Oh, that needs plugged back in there, don't. That explain why my windshield wipers ain't working. And then at some point we'll have to get a new manifold for it because this one's cracked right here. You could weld this up, but cast iron doesn't weld that well, just because when it's cast there's tons of air bubbles and everything else. It can be done, but I don't like doing it just for the simple fact of all the air bubbles. It's not a guaranteed fix. It could break in the same spot again, or if you get a good weld on it, it could put stress on another point and just crack it again. We'll probably end up pulling these ones off sometime and going with headers, something that can take a little more abuse, a little more flexibility. The motor mounts look like they're in okay shape. Under the hood here though, the rust don't really look like it's completely taken over. There's a little spot right there on the firewall that I need to cut out and patch. But as far as the inner fender wells and the fenders and stuff, they all look pretty decent. This one here has a bad spot right here on the bottom corner closest to the cab, and this has already been fixed once because I was looking in here and they've got a steel mesh back in there, probably just to hold Bondo. So actually I'll probably just cut it right here at this line and replace this. And then up in here, the whole inner rocker, outer rocker, the whole 9 yards needs replaced. Same with this body mount here, you can see it's all rotted, clean, damn near clean gone, but up here still pretty solid. So I'll probably just cut it off like right up here, and then reshape one and replace it. It looks like the transfer case has a little bit of a leak here, so I'll probably, when I pull the rear drive shaft out, we'll probably pull this yoke off, bolt here, put a new gasket in there, and then a new gasket here. And it's got this cover, so I mean, we might even, for what I believe would be a PTO, a gear driven PTO, so we might even put a dump bed on this thing. I gotta clean up all the wiring for this transmission and whatnot, so it's not just dangling down there by the exhaust. That's never good. Get everything greased up. Do general maintenance stuff, check ball joints and whatnot. Or not ball joints, but yeah, check these ball joints. And the steering arm and the center link and all that stuff, and the outer tie rods. Just make sure they're nice and greased up. That boot seems pretty hard. Like it's starting to get petrified, cracking. This is just stuff that I don't want to deal with while we're on Hot Rod Power Tour. If they're doing it next year, I want to make it as reliable as possible. I want to be able to do the long haul. I want to replace the upper and lower radiator hoses. Go and get a temperature sensor that I can put in a block somewhere in a water jacket. So this fan will work like it's supposed to, and I don't have to have it run 24/7 or have it hooked up to an exact ignition switch. I think I'm going to go ahead and do away with the ballast resistors and go get a GM ignition control module. The little black 4-prong ones that used to go in the GM distributors, and wire that in to run the ignition system. I've seen a lot of people do that. And but I'm gonna go up and get these batteries charged up, and then as soon as they're charged up, both of these batteries are charged up, I'll click you back on and we'll try to get this thing started. Alright, so we got the battery on charge right now. Once it gets all charged up, we'll take it back down to the truck, hook it up, and see if we can get it started. That'll be in part 2. So if you want to see part 2, I'll have it uploaded sometime soon. But as you can see, the battery's on the charger. It's a thanky little old 12-volt 5-amp charger. Seen better days, but it still works. And I'm the kind of person, you know, if it isn't broken, don't fix it, don't replace it. As long as it's still working, I'll keep using it. Until then, she'll do her job. But like I said, part 2 will be coming out soon. And if you like my videos, which just got dark, if you like my videos and you want to see more of the old W300, like and subscribe.